Yeah, I don't think I had really an anxious thing this week, so I guess I'll just talk about that.
I never remember the week.
I know, like, what happened?
What?
I don't know.
Nothing really happened.
Especially like when you just work all week, it's like, nothing happened, I guess.
Work? We can talk about 4th of July also, nothing happened.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay, so we really don't have much to talk about.
Hello.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Abby.
And I'm Shauna.
And this is Anxious.
And Afraid.
Ooh, I like your radio voice.
Ooh, I'm going to go deep.
She's sexy.
I'm going to be like Michael.
No one's like Michael.
I know. Sup, welcome back. Hello.
Welcome. This is a podcast where we talk about creepy things and things that are going to give you some kind of anxiety.
Yep. You know what you're here for. This is what we do.
I bring the trauma. And
Abby's really good at it.
Since I'm the one doing the episode, it's
I know.
Just a trauma fest week after week.
I know.
No breaks for y'all or for me. I just keep torturing myself. Yeah, welcome if it's your first time. Welcome back if it's not.
Let's talk about some things, Abby.
Shall we commence with the things we talk about?
I guess we have some things to talk about.
We do have a thing to talk about because something momentous happened today. Momentous. Because we found out the sex of the baby. And let me tell you.
I need to remind myself that I can't squeak into a microphone.
You can squeak away from the microphone.
Okay, but I'll just try and contain myself.
So we all had our guesses. Shauna, what was your guess?
Oh, I was right because I'm always right. I'm a Virgo. So.
Yeah, she was team peen.
Team peen.
Jess really wanted a girl. I guessed boy. I don't know why. I just had a feeling. And guess what? It was a boy. It is a boy.
Boy energy up in the house.
It's a boy.
So
and I made
cute.
the joke that he already has more rights than I do inside of me.
Because he did.
Good job.
Okay.
Honestly, it's almost kind of a relief to have a boy. I'm like, oh,
You won't have as many problems.
so you'll have an easier time in the world, hopefully.
So sad.
Oh, God. But yes, we're very, very excited.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. You're going to have a son. How can you?
Ew, that's so weird.
Isn't that so gross and weird to say?
A
like,
son.
I still trip out that I can say, like, oh, that's my daughter.
Daughter. Oh, it
Ew.
sounds so, like, grown up.
Or, like, yeah, or if I make an appointment and they're like, what's your relation? I'm like, I'm her mother.
Ew.
I can't compute that. I just can't.
Now Michael can say, my son.
I know. So weird.
That's my boy.
That's my boy. So precious.
So we're very excited because Roscoe's going to be a good doggy big brother. He's going to have
He
all
is.
the energy for that child that I won't. So that'll be great. And we're super duper stoked about
So
it.
stoked.
Yeah.
Growing the fam.
Growing
the tribe.
Bam. And now we're already arranging the marriages of our children. I mean, we never know. It could be Remy and Rylan get together.
Girl, boy, girl,
We
boy,
don't
boy.
know. We're open.
Whatever they want, but as long as it's together.
Have a meeting. You guys, we are super progressive.
But
However,
we're going to force marriage on you.
however you want to make this work, but you will be getting married. You got to decide amongst yourself who it's going to be.
Oh, we're ridiculous.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are.
It's fine. So yeah, that happened today. So we're still high off of that.
We are.
And exhausted and excited.
All the
Tired.
feels.
Yeah.
It's going to be that way forever now, is all the feels.
I know. It's still sinking in. I keep having to remind myself over and over. It's so weird.
It's going to be a mind trip the whole time.
The whole time.
It still is. It doesn't stop. Jesse was right. It doesn't stop being a mind trip.
Just beginning.
Even when you get used to it, I still have moments I'm like, wow, this is a different life.
Yeah, I am a full adult now, somehow.
I am responsible for a human.
Who gave me permission?
No one should have. Just kidding. We're great. We're great.
We're great.
So other things to mention. I feel like What do I talk about? Which one do I pick?
Well, we did discuss taking a little baby break between this episode and the next one.
The next one's going to be 100.
100. Y'all, that's a deal. And I have a book to read, and
We have cake to make sure we buy.
we won't be making that cake. But
Oh,
yes,
no,
we do
no.
have to remember to buy some things.
Gotta somehow make it a little extra.
Yeah, extra. And so that will be a momentous day. So you need a little extra time to plan for that. So just be aware.
So we're going to take a little breaksies.
Yeah.
And then we were shook because we got some support that we're not used to. Abby texted me one of these days and she's like, we just got a Patreon.
A new Patreon supporter? What?
And I'm sorry, it's been a long time. I was like, who, what, where, and why?
I had to blow the dust off of the Patreon logins because I got an email. And I mean, obviously, we were super appreciative
Super stoked
of all of the supporters we already have.
Yes, that's
that
true.
have stuck with us. Thank you. But yes, we got a new supporter named Nadia. Thank you, Nadia.
Hi, girl, or boy, they, you.
Hey, you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. So great. We appreciate you.
I reached out on Patreon, but like, if you're listening, give us your address so I can send you some stickers.
Yeah, we want to give you some goods.
Let us give you things.
Let us give you things.
We want to show our love.
Yeah, we got to support you too.
Yeah. And the shout out was only one part of the promise. Here's your shout out. You get like at least 30 seconds at this point.
I love how we like always turn it into like a tone of complaining about that person or something. Like, you know what I mean?
We always attack the ones we love.
So we can give you gifts.
God damn it, Nadia. Get it together. We are super appreciative. So thank you
Yeah,
for
that's
supporting.
super awesome.
Blows our mind. And also, what else blew my mind? My mom dropped off some gifts.
Your precious angel mom.
My mama, she's so thoughtful.
So thoughtful and sweet.
She gave us some fun little things for our anniversary. She gave us a little alien head. It's like
An 8-ball.
Magic 8-ball.
But it's not an 8-ball. It's an alien head, so it's better.
Yeah, it's like 10 times better.
It's so cute.
Already having fun with that. And then gave us a couple different mints. Like one looks like a Ouija board and the little mints look like planchettes.
It's so cute.
It's amazing.
Not very minty, but super cute.
And then the other one is little alien head mints. So
Precious. I love it.
Right
They
up
go
our alley.
Perfectly.
our faves.
Super cute.
Thanks, Mom.
Precious. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for remembering and supporting. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else? Did we talk about all things?
I think we talked about all things.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, we don't really have much of like what actually makes us anxious, afraid this week.
Yeah, we don't want to bring it down because we had good news.
We had too much of a high going, so
Yeah.
we're gonna just talk about your baby boy,
baby.
gifts,
Boy.
support, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, only
and
good
then
things.
We'll talk about a terrible story, whatever you have for us.
I'm gonna pump you up and then bring
Bring
you
it
right back down. Should I start? Should I go?
Let's do it.
Okay, you guys. It's episode 99.
99. You brought us there, Abby. Applause to you.
Thank you.
Because I have not been.
You've been busy.
I don't know how to do it. But
She's been raising a child, so I've been writing some sods. That's my
So
new-
we're gonna scratch the ep, and now we're gonna go to sods. I love it. I love it so much.
I can't believe we're on the cusp of 100. It's so unreal.
That's also very unreal.
blowing my mind.
I don't get it.
So I was looking at our download numbers to see like which topics
do the
really
best?
slap. And
Really, you're really cracking me up with this lingo that you're so up to date on.
yeah, I gotta get with the children.
Okay, so what do our viewers like the most?
Disaster episodes. It
Okay.
seems to be disasters that
Yes.
everyone just eats up.
Yes, my people. Okay, we'll give you more disaster stuff.
They're the popular ones. Like, y'all like a disaster. I don't like our Texas industrial episode, one of our most popular episodes ever.
Really?
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
And it's like not even that old. So I was like, damn, guys.
Good.
People like just.
Oh, I'm jazzed
Deadland?
about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we love a good disaster as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, whether it be industrial or natural, those get the most traction, it seems like. So I'm going to give the people what they want.
Okay.
And I found a genuinely horrible disaster to traumatize you all with.
Oh my gosh. These are really traumatizing.
You're so welcome. So today we will be discussing a fire. A terrible, terrible accident, which took the lives of many and left physical and mental scars on those who did manage to escape the terror. What makes this event extra sad is that it happened in a place that was meant to bring nothing but joy and wonder to the people who came to see it.
Oh. Okay, keep going because I'm already in the same direction. I might know. Go.
Okay. Unfortunately, though, the events that took place on July 7th, 1944, in Hartford, Connecticut, would scar the community forever.
Okay, no.
And go down in history as one of the worst fire disasters in the United States history.
Okay, that's pretty intense.
Today, we will be discussing the Hartford Circus fire.
Okay, I was in the right direction. I thought it happened. Wait, maybe there's more than one circus fire.
There is definitely more than one, but this one's one of the worst, I think.
Okay, and it happened in 1940s?
Yeah, 1944.
Okay, I think there was one that happened in the 1800s that I just listened to. Like, I just listened to it. Shoot, there's fires in the circus.
Yeah.
Of course there are.
Everything's flammable back then. Like,
it is.
And today's July 9th, so we're pretty, like, close
like
to
super
the anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Okay.
So you haven't heard of this one particularly then?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I hadn't either until a couple of weeks ago. It's weird. I was actually, I was stuck. I was looking for a topic. I was like, maybe I'll do a true crime. I just happened to listen to this. I was like looking up this topic, this true crime topic, which ended up being so depressing. Then I was like, I just can't.
Yeah.
True crimes are hard. But I like randomly listened to an episode of My Favorite Murder, which I haven't listened to in like actually years.
Okay, maybe.
Is this like the one?
I think I just listened to this episode.
Okay. So I was listening to the true crime part of it, but I think Karen did this first. And so I was like, wow, a circus fire. Like, that's pretty wild. And then I started looking into it and I was like, okay, this would be a good episode.
Oh,
but
that's so funny.
That's how I found it.
I wish I had my phone so I can see, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But I'm still all about it. I don't think I paid much attention while listening to it, to be absolutely honest.
Okay, well, obviously this is going to go more in depth too.
Great.
So more detail, but obviously check that episode out. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't listened to that podcast in years. I just kind of stopped.
You stopped?
Yeah.
I've been back on it ever since being like back in the office.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to it and I was like, yeah, this is great. But I don't know why.
It's still funny. It's still great.
It's still funny. Okay, so I did read a book for this one. Not a very long book. Pretty straightforward. The book was written by Michael Skidgell and is called The Hartford Circus Fire Tragedy Under the Big Top. Pretty quick, easy read with lots of good information on the disaster, so definitely check that out for a more detailed version of this story. But first, Shauna, have you ever been to the circus?
You know...
Like when you were a kid?
I feel like I have a memory of being at a circus as a kid, but now I question if that was like a dream or not. But no, I think I did as a kid. I think I at least went once.
Same. My memories, I
think I was too little. So
I went when I was young. Yeah. Like I think one time, I'm sure my mom will have like all the details on it, but I do remember going. I just mostly have like vague recollections of like the vibe and like seeing the high flying act, stuff like that. But
do you remember an elephant?
Probably.
See, this is where I'm like wondering if it was a dream or not, because I was like, did I get on an elephant?
Oh,
was that like still allowed at that point?
Oh, I don't know.
That's where I question my brain. I'm like, am I just making this up in my head?
Like, am I just like relating my memories to movies I've seen?
But then I have other like I feel like I've been to the circus at least once as a kid. Maybe I didn't go on an elephant. Maybe that's the detail that's questionable. Maybe I just want to be on an elephant.
Yeah, well, I know they stopped having like animals.
Yeah, towards the end they were like not so much into the animals, I don't think.
Right. Michael, did you ever go to the circus?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not like a thing anymore.
It wasn't
really
as popular,
put it out.
Yeah.
But I remember like hearing or realizing like, yeah, circuses aren't the thing anymore. Like
Well, we went to the show in Vegas.
Well, that's different in my opinion.
Well, yeah. What are they called? The Cirque du Soleil,
Cirque du Soleil, whatever French or fancy.
which was wild. I mean, that's
that's
another level.
Intense.
We went to the Beatles love show. That was cool.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how people can move that way and have bodies like that.
I know.
Just don't understand.
That's their whole life. That's what they do all the time. I'm
So flexible.
How are you not scared? Scared all the time.
Seriously.
Yeah, so I guess we both have vague recollections of our childhood, but yeah, I don't remember it very well.
Yeah, but when it comes to like the classic under the tent, red and white stripes, popcorn, that kind of vibe, I think maybe just once as a kid.
I must have been grade school, like little.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously not as popular, and there's some good reasons for that. They were cracked down on for their treatment of animals. Like, nobody deserves to live in a cage.
People, yeah.
Yeah, and the treatment of people, like the freak shows, all of that.
You don't realize how terrible it actually was.
Right.
Really terrible.
Yeah, so probably, some things go away for a good reason. But that being said, we were going back to the 1940s, and obviously things were different back then in terms of animal rights, safety standards, women's rights, I mean, all of that different. So what else was happening in 1944?
War.
Yes, World War II, of course. Times were tough, and most of the men were away fighting the war, and the rest of the Americans were, doing their part to support the war effort. But every once in a while, if they had saved up a few coins and the timing was right, something magical like the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus would pass through town, and the hardworking Americans would buy their tickets to forget about their worries for a couple of hours. During the war, personnel and equipment shortages were common, but the attractions were still awe-inspiring to the people who came to see them. Crowds would be delighted by trained animals, sword swallowers, that's a hard one, jugglers, tattooed strongmen, trapeze artists, clowns. I do remember the clowns. I feel like I remember seeing clowns at the circus. It's coming back to me.
I'm not sure if I remember the clowns.
I remember the clowns. Musicians, tightrope walkers, all the stuff.
All the stuff.
And the show planned for Hartford, Connecticut would be no different. However, it was off to a rocky start. There were 2 shows planned for July 5th, 1944, but the trains had been delayed and arrived so late that one of the shows had to be canceled. This may not seem so ominous to you or I, but according to circus superstition, missing a show was extremely bad luck.
Oh, I did not know that.
Right? And the performers carried out the second show with trepidation, expecting something to go wrong at any moment.
Oh, that's terrifying.
They breathed a sigh of relief when the show on July 5th concluded with no mishaps, but sadly, their luck would soon run out. Fun fact, another circus superstition is that it's also bad luck to whistle in a circus tent.
What?
And you should never sleep in the ring.
Well, why would you sleep in
I don't know.
but whistle. I feel like
whistling.
A lot of people would naturally whistle in the 1940s.
Bad luck. I think it was something about like if you whistle, like somebody might mistake that as a cue to like go on and perform their thing at the wrong time.
That's scary.
Yeah, so whistling, not good. Green costumes were considered to be unlucky.
Green, okay.
No green, but elephant hairs were said to be very lucky.
Of course, take something from an elephant or an animal and it's good luck.
Just pluck its poor hair out.
Oh, gosh.
And you should always enter the ring with your right foot first.
The right foot first.
Yep.
What weird,
very important,
superstitious rules.
There was a whole list. I was like, this is so many things to remember.
That's like, yeah. I mean, I know that there's the whole like, don't say Macbeth in the theater, but is like that the only theater rule?
I think some of these translated over to theater. Like maybe the whistling was a thing too.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of superstitions.
Interesting.
So the other show on July 5th went as planned with no problems, and everything was set to go for the next day. The first show, the matinee performance, was scheduled to go on at 2:15, and ticket sales had been very good, with about 7,000 people expected to attend.
Wow.
Doesn't 7,000 seem like an insane amount of people to put in like one giant tent?
Yeah, especially at that time.
I know. When I went to the circus, I don't remember there being that many people.
Well, I mean, we went in the 90s when it was like
True.
kind of already dead.
Circus
Like
is
this-
dead.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't a thing.
That just seems like such a massive crowd of people.
Well, imagine the entertainment back then was like nothing. Now we have
That's
like
true.
TV in our pockets.
That's true. Like, it's a big deal when the circus came through town.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even the max capacity. The big top could seat as many as 9,000 spectators.
Dang.
With about 4,000 seats in the bleachers, which was kind of located at each end of the tent. Those were like the cheap seats. And then there was about 6,000 reserved seats, which were unsecured wooden folding chairs that provided a better view of all three performing rings. So they'd be like on the long sides of this giant oval.
I see.
The patrons could exit and enter the tent through the main entrance, as well as 8 other smaller exits located around the tent, although the smaller exits were primarily used by the performers. Some of those exits were also blocked during the show, as they were used to transport the animals to and from the ring. During the performance, 2 steel-caged runways were constructed, which led from the outside 2 rings to 2 of the big top exits, where wagons were waiting to collect the circus animals. Does that make sense? So there's like these steel like tunnels basically from the rings going outside.
So it's like a caged tunnel for them.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And that's how they transported the animals to and from. Unfortunately, these runways would become deadly obstacles later on in our story.
Ugh, yikes. There's just so many wrong things.
No, you just like hear about it now and you're like, oh no.
So many mistakes.
You know, but back then they're like, it's fine.
Everything's fine.
It's fine. It's not been a problem before. So, the tent itself was a massive elongated circle, nearly 200 feet wide and 450 feet long. The roof peaked at 48 feet high and was supported by 15-foot high sidewalls. There were 2 performing stages and, of course, 3 rings in which all kinds of fun performances took place. And I'll post like a little layout of the big top so everyone can kind of see what I'm talking about, because I'm a visual person and I had to look at pictures.
For sure. So, like, I naturally just think of like a round tent with 1 ring in it.
Same.
But I understand what you're saying. It's like an oval. There's 3 rings. There's long. It's
Yeah.
I get it.
So you'll be able to see it when the pictures are up.
Because like multiple things are happening at the same time.
Yes.
In those rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. So outside the main entrance to the big top, topless enclosures were installed for the...
I thought you were going to just go like topless performers. And I'm like, oh, a circus was scandalous.
Circus titties.
Circus titties.
One of the main attractions. Come see our circus
They had
titties.
like an adult corner. Like, look at these titties.
I mean, I wouldn't honestly surprise me.
Honestly, true.
Circus titties. Just put some little tassels on them. No, so there's topless little enclosures for the men and women's toilets. So there's like...
Oh, toilets. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about toilets instead of titties, okay?
Yeah. Get your mind out of the toilet. Titties. Toilets.
Toilets.
So they're like right next to the entrance.
That's cute. Why would like,
Why
just,
not?
just put the toilets. Sorry, this is really funny.
So there's
It's like the opposite place you would want them.
so there was like the men's on one side of the door kind of, and then the women's on their other side.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Sure.
So all of this was situated on top of mowed grass, which had become dry from the summer heat. To combine the dust getting kicked up by the patrons, the dirt was periodically watered down, and hay and wood chips were layered over the top of it. The dirt had in fact been watered down the morning of July 6th, but it was a hot one that day, and everything had dried out once again before the matinee show started around 2:15.
I can't even sit in hot weather. I don't know how these guys perform and they put everything together and dismantle it. So it's not like they're done after they're performing. They're doing the whole thing.
Yeah. Hot. And everything sounds so flammable, right?
Yes.
And the ground is made out of wood chips and dry
Everything's
grass.
dry.
Yeah.
hot.
And it's only gonna get worse. So the canvas material that made up the big top had been waterproofed, but it had not been fireproofed. Management cited a shortage of materials due to the war, which prevented them from fireproofing the canvas. But they were able to waterproof it with a process where paraffin wax was boiled and thinned with gasoline, then poured from watering cans and brushed onto the canvas.
Mixed with gasoline? Does it have to be gasoline?
Well, I've heard differing opinions. Some say, like, yeah, the gasoline made it super flammable. Others say that, like, after a few days, all of the gasoline would have, like, off-gassed and wouldn't really affect the flammability of it. But there's differing opinions on that.
Okay.
Either way, it kind of sounds like everyone's walking into a, like, giant candle because it's still paraffin wax.
Yeah.
So it's just not good.
It's not good.
Waterproofed, but, like, we're summertime.
So hot. I'm gonna tell you it's not gonna rain today.
Yeah, it's not the biggest worry. So not good. And as I said before, it was a hot one in Hartford, Connecticut that day, with temperatures reaching 88 degrees.
Ugh.
Can you imagine? That's
Too
outside 88. Like, imagine being inside a tent with a bunch of sweaty townspeople.
Oh, and it's like filled with people.
Filled.
So it's gonna be so hot.
So many breathings.
There's probably no fans.
No fan. I mean, there's not like electric fans back then. Is this pre-deodorant? It's got to smell.
Yeah, how is it lit? Like torches?
Fire?
Well, it's during the day. I think they did have like, they would lower the canvas like at the top so like some breeze would come in.
Oh, it sounds so bad.
But like, I think they had, I think they had electric lights inside. But like,
yeah, they probably did.
Which would only add to the heat, I imagine.
Sure.
But
Oh, that sounds awful.
it's so sweaty.
I'm just like so hot already, and then we're talking about a hot story, so I'm just like,
We're like in an air conditioned room, but it doesn't matter. We're sweating and I can't imagine. But you know, it's the 40s. Can't really blame them for wanting to brave the heat to have a little fun. Mm-hmm. So the attendees were mostly women and children, or the elderly, as many of the men were either working or fighting Hitler.
Hitler. Yeah.
It's his fault. Everything's his fault. Which, you know, that fact is going to make things even sadder down the road, just to warn you. So the show was starting, running a few minutes late after 2:15, and all the patrons took their seats for the greatest show on earth. The bombastic music was performed by Merle Evans' Big Show Band, located at the far end of the tent, opposite the main entrance. He struck up the Star-Spangled Banner, and the ringmaster, Fred Bradna, welcomed the enthusiastic crowd along with a parade of horses, elephants, and other performers. The crowd was delighted by silly clowns and a big cat performance from lions, panthers, pumas, and leopards, as well as trained polar bears and Great Danes.
Polar bears?
That's fucked up, right? Especially in that heat. Those poor things.
Oh, I had no idea they had polar bears.
Polar bears. Like,
I mean, I
why?
always just think of lions, tigers, and elephants.
I thought you were going to say bears.
Bear, of course.
Yeah, but but yeah, polar bears. Like,
That's sad. They're huge, and that's sad.
so furry and totally out of their climate.
Oh, that makes me really upset.
Yeah, and Great Danes. Like, I guess people hadn't seen a lot of Great Danes.
The dog?
Giant dogs.
I mean, yeah, that's a giant ass
It's a
dog.
huge dog. Quite the assortment. Next up were the Daredevil high wire performers called the Great Wallendas, but were more popularly known as the Flying Wallendas. About 20 minutes into the show, they were starting their act on platforms 30 feet high when they noticed something amiss. And they weren't the only ones who had seen a disturbing sight. The band leader had spotted flames on the southwest side wall of the tent, but instead of shouting fire, which would have incited a panic, he did what the band was instructed to do to alert the rest of the circus employees to an emergency. He directed his band to begin playing the song "The Stars and Stripes Forever," which apparently is like code for shit's going down. Isn't that clever? Like, I didn't realize.
Clever, but also eerie?
Yeah, like if you're in the circus, but like if you're just a townsperson, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a way to get past the panic.
Yeah, kind of some weird like insider info there. The first person to actually spot the flames was an usher named Kenneth Gwynwell, who spotted the flames located about 5 feet off the ground on the canvas sidewall of the tent. He noted the ground was not yet on fire, just the canvas. but it was spreading.
Fire spreads fast, dude.
Yeah, especially on a tent made of
Gasoline and
wax
air.
and bleach. Bleach?
Everything that's flammable
Yeah,
ever.
just to fire canvas. So he ran to get another usher for help, but who notified a third employee, and the three of them ran to grab a bucket of water, one of many which were kept under the bleachers and seats expressly for the purpose of putting out fires. Because that wasn't an uncommon thing to happen.
We're going to have buckets ready for all the fires.
Yeah, they just have buckets located everywhere that are already full of water, kept there specifically for fires.
That seems so cartoony to me.
I know. So notably, there were no fire extinguishers nearby. And unfortunately, back in the day, everyone and their 12-year-old smoked, and it was not uncommon for a careless audience member to drop a lit cigarette onto the ground covered.
That makes me so mad.
It's always the fucking smokers, man.
I'm sorry.
Every one of our disaster stories.
Put out your damn cigarette butts.
No, I mean, there wasn't even signs up, like, to tell people not to.
That's so infuriating. And when I see somebody, like, flick one out of their car, I'm just like, really, dude? That's so infuriating.
I know, especially, like, in the dry summer. It's like, what are you doing?
Just, if you're going to have a terrible habit, keep it
Have an ashtray.
in
Yeah.
yourself, in your life.
Keep it contained.
Goodness.
So yeah, it wasn't uncommon for a lit cigarette to drop onto the ground, which of course was covered in hay and wood chips, so it would start a fire. These small fires were usually spotted because there's like ushers all over under the bleachers just waiting for this to happen. So they would usually spot it and douse the fire before it was any real danger. But today was different.
Especially when it's so hot. Oh, okay. I'm so angry. Okay.
It's already so hot. Ugh. Okay, so the men grabbed buckets full of water and threw it at the flames, but it was of no use. The fire had already spread to the roof of the tent, where it was quickly gaining ground. The ushers attempted to pull that section of canvas down, but it was secured tightly as the men's toilets were located just on the other side of the flames. The ushers realized it was too late for damage control and turned their attention to getting audience members out of the big top. It was about this time when some of the distracted audience members seated in the bleachers began to feel an intense heat in an already hot tent. A group of girls seated in the top row of the bleachers turned around to see flames only feet away from them and began to exit their seats in an attempt to escape out the main entrance. Others began to notice the flames as well, and soon the screaming and panic began.
Oh, no.
I think we should just take a quick break right here. All right, we're back. Welcome back to the horror. So
It was about to get real bad and real chaotic.
We were at the cusp of terrible things happening. So, yes, as I said, the screaming and panic has now begun. Unfortunately, it's the instinct of many to run out the way that they came in, which was, of course, the main entrance.
Yeah.
And the area was already becoming choked with panicked audience members trying to flee the flames. Some audience members stayed in their seats until it was too late, believing the fire would be extinguished. Others were able to run out, only to run back in to try and find their family members. Because, like, people are coming here with their whole families.
The kids are probably running around.
Yeah, lots
crying.
of kids. Lots of kids. Children and those unlucky enough to lose their footing were already being trampled under the stampede of hysterical feet, and the scene quickly dissolved into chaos. Adding to the chaos was the difficult job of trying to lead panicked animals from the tent. Trainers attempted to herd the big cats through the steel tunnels, which led to the animal wagons outside the tent, but terrified audience members were trying to climb over those wire tunnels in an attempt to get to another exit, and the commotion only served to frighten the animals more.
That's sad.
I know.
They probably didn't even, like, announce where all the exits were. They probably didn't have, like, that.
Well, I heard that the ringleader started to try and control the panic, but his his power was cut out, like, almost immediately. Yeah, his mic went down. So, like, it was just immediately, like, no direction. Every man for himself, basically. Yeah, so Poor scared kitties trying to run down these tracks. Some of them turned around. They ran back into the ring. Others just started to fight each other inside the passageways. Can you imagine trying to climb over one of those tunnels and there's like fighting lions below you?
Yeah, oh my God, no.
Terrifying all around. But before anyone gets too upset about the fate of the animals, I will just throw you a bone right now and tell you that all of the animals make it out alive.
That's nice.
I know. It's like mostly physically unharmed. There was a few minor burns. But I know that's probably stressing a lot of you out, so I'm just going to let you know that no animals die in this fire.
Okay.
That made me relieved, too. I was like, okay, the animals are okay. I can't say the same for the humans. I know. They don't want to be there. They don't die in the fire. So there's that little silver lining. Okay, so the fire department had not stationed any men on site for the duration of the circus. But there were 10 policemen and 3 plainclothes detectives located in and around the big top, in case they had to deal with any riffraff, pickpockets.
Riffraff. It's shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans, that kind of thing.
Clowning around.
Some of those men were outside of the big top, and they noticed the commotion happening as smoke began to billow from the tent, and they could see people crawling out from under the canvas flaps to escape. Mm-hmm. The fire department was quickly called, and some of the officers ran towards the big top to assist the people trying to get out. Back inside the tent, the band was still playing over the screams of the audience members. Hello, Titanic.
I was going to say very Titanic vibes.
Again, like this just happened. In a rush to escape, many people had knocked over the wooden folding chairs they'd been seated in, which were unsecured. They're just like loose chairs. So they knocked them over, which only caused more tripping hazards for those behind them trying to get out. Some people headed for the top of the bleachers and seating rows, preferring to take their chances with jumping off the back. But, they would fall 10.5 feet. Some of them were able to slip under the sidewall after falling, or they... a lot of people had like pocket knives on them at the time, so they would cut through the canvas and escape that way.
Smart.
Yeah, although many people would injure themselves by doing so, resulting in many, I think some people died by doing that, but others broke their feet, their ankles, similar injuries. Mm-hmm. Some tried to slide down the ropes, so rope burns, ouch.
Ouch.
One 11-year-old survivor named Maureen Creakin recalled the horror of the scene, saying, quote, "I remember somebody yelling and seeing a big ball of fire near the top of the tent. And this ball of fire just got bigger and bigger and bigger. By that time, everybody was panicking. The exit was blocked by the cages where the animals were brought in and out with. And there was a man taking kids and flinging them up and over that cage to get them out. I was sitting up in the bleachers and jumped down. I was 3/4 of the way up. You jumped down and it was all straw underneath. There was a young man, a kid, and he had a pocket knife. And he slit the tent, took my arm, and pulled me out." Oh, can you? Oh, God.
A little heroic child.
I know, there's like a little kid. He's like got a cigarette and a knife.
And he doesn't even know this girl. He just like takes her.
He's just saving her.
Oh my gosh. I'm still very hot and sweaty, but that also gave me chills that like, well, I guess she wasn't, telling
11.
the story at the 11, but
right.
She survived at 11 years old being there.
Yeah. So many kids were there. It's just insane.
That's wild.
The things they saw, like, oh.
That's horrific.
Yeah. And you just imagine, like, this grown man just flinging kids over the top of this cage, just like...
That's so sad.
I know. So, a large number of people had seen the crush at the main entrance and tried to escape from a different exit on the opposite end of the tent, but found their paths blocked by those blasted wire animal runways. They began climbing over, but they would get their feet stuck in the wire. Police officers did their best to assist with the panicked circus goers and freed their trapped feet from the wire runway so they could escape. As little Maureen had said, people were seen tossing their children over the runways to the other side, but time was quickly running out. Soon, the fire had spread across the roof to the center pole, and within seconds, the entire roof had been consumed in flames. It had taken only 4 minutes for this to happen.
I believe it.
4 minutes.
It's not even 5.
Not even half a 10. How do you evacuate thousands of people in 4 minutes?
No, you don't. You
It's
don't.
just
That's
unreal.
the problem. No.
Thousands of people.
That is thousands.
As the flames spread down the ropes tied to support poles, the ropes...
It's like coming after them.
The ropes snapped, and the large wooden poles began to fall, crushing anyone in their paths. As more and more poles fell, the canvas roof lost tension, allowing more air to blow in, which fanned the flames.
Yeah. Fire likes air, people.
Yep.
Just-
It eats it right up.
Yeah.
As the canvas roof began to disintegrate, pieces of burning material coated in paraffin wax began to fall on the poor people below. I'm sorry, guys. Things are just going to continue to be terrible for a little bit longer. Soon, the center pole collapsed, and the burning sheet of canvas, which weighed tons, by the way, like
I'm sure.
tons.
Heavy.
descended from above, much to the horror of those still trapped inside.
So now it's collapsing, and like the blanket of the fiery tent is going on them.
And they can see it happening. I just
I
can't.
can't even imagine like the slow motion, but also fast, just seeing that come towards you.
And it's just like relatively happening so quickly, but like I'm sure that moment took forever.
Yeah. Oh, terrible.
As the screams crescendoed, a deafening whoosh was made as the remaining air escaped the tent as the canvas settled on those below, followed by a stunned silence. It had taken less than 10 minutes from the start of the fire to the horrifying end. Much too fast for the fire department to arrive and douse the burning tent. Before the fire department arrived, there were water trucks owned by Ringling, but they were parked like a quarter mile away. So
not helpful.
Right. They rushed to the scene and began putting out fires on the animal wagons, which had been parked next to the tent, knowing that if the animal cages burned and the animals escaped, that would be even worse.
Oh, man.
A famous photograph would be taken of the well-known clown Emmett Kelly, still in his iconic sad tramp costume and makeup, holding a water bucket as he tried to help with the fire.
Wait, did you see this photo? Is it on Google?
Yeah, I'll post it.
I want to see it.
The photo would make the rounds in the media and would lead to the horrible day being dubbed the day the clowns cried.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got his like sad clown makeup on. It's just it's sad.
Eerie.
Very eerie. Another water truck rushed to the site. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned it, but all of the performers and circus employees make it out alive.
Oh.
Not a single one from the circus
Wow.
died, which is wild.
Interesting.
Another water truck rushed to the site of the still burning tent and was directed to spray water on a pile of bodies that had been trapped by the wire tunnel used to transport the animals to and from the ring. The people searching for signs of life were amazed to find some people still alive at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
They pulled 2 women out of the grisly scene and were shocked to see one of them had no injuries and only a small burn in her stockings. Wild.
Wow.
Some of the bodies were stacked like 3 high, so I guess
Covering her
it,
up.
protected them.
Yikes, man. I can't imagine being literally buried in bodies. That's so horrific.
Some people died that way too because they suffocated.
Yeah, like it's a pile of dead bodies that you're in and you're still alive in, and it's a pile of dead bodies.
Trauma. It's so bad.
I can't.
When the fire and police department arrived on the scene, they began the horrifying task of recovering the bodies, or in some cases, just parts of bodies. They found the majority of people had died bottlenecked near the exits or trapped by the animal runways.
Yeah.
In the final count, it was estimated that 168 people died that day, and over 700 were injured. 168, I would think it would be more out of 7,000.
Like 7,000.
But that's still so much.
Still a lot.
So much. And I can't imagine being at an exit. Like, you're so close.
Oh, that's even more heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking. It's fucking awful. Devastatingly, more than half of those who perished were children.
Poor thing.
Poor babies. Some people died from the fire, some from smoke inhalation. Others had been trampled or asphyxiated when others fell on top of them.
Yeah.
3 would die in the following months from their injuries. The state armory had been designated as the morgue where the bodies were brought for identification by traumatized family members. This was naturally a difficult task as many of the burn victims were now unrecognizable and much of their clothing and personal effects had been burned away. Many were identified through jewelry they were wearing or through surgical scars and dental records. 6 bodies would remain unidentified and unclaimed, and a funeral would be held for them on July 10th at the Hartford Hospital. I believe the identity of one was solved, but to this day, 5 still remain a mystery.
Wow.
As recently as a couple years ago, 2 of the bodies were exhumed in hopes that DNA testing could be performed, but the samples were too degraded. They did save the samples in hopes that, scientific testing, advances in the future. Investigations into the cause of the fire began immediately. And the day after the fire, on July 7th, 5 Ringling men were arrested on circus grounds on charges of manslaughter. Vice President James Haley, General Manager George Smith, boss canvasman Leonard Aylesworth, Chief Electrician Edward Verstige, and Superintendent of the Trucks and Tractors Department David Blanchfield. It's not that these men started the fire, but, they were in charge and therefore were responsible. For the deaths and damages caused by the fire in their circus. All 5 men pleaded no contest to the charges of involuntary manslaughter, and served their time in prison, which wasn't a lot. All less than 2 years, some as little as 6 months.
Yeah.
They all returned to their jobs at the circus and continued working after.
Wow.
Ringling surprisingly took full responsibility for the damages of the fire. They didn't admit guilt as to the cause of the fire, but they were still fully willing to pay all of the damages.
That's good.
Yeah. After exhaustive investigations, it was ultimately decided that the fire was started by a carelessly flicked cigarette in the men's toilets, which were located directly against the side wall of the big top where the fire was first seen on the wall of the canvas. Many people suspected arson and were not satisfied with the findings, but there was no conclusive proof or evidence of an arsonist.
I feel like it's way more likely to
be a cigarette
than to somebody who's like, I want to create
pandemonium.
With fire.
Some Joker character.
Yes, that does happen. People do that, but it's just it's more believable about the cigarette.
The amount of people who smoked, there was no
so
regulations.
Careless. Yeah.
Someone taking a whiz, they just flick their cigarette.
So annoying.
For some time, it was suspected that a man named Robert Dale Segee of Circleville, Ohio, had set the fire, as he had admitted to it in a police interview in 1950. There was some footing in this confession, as he had been working as a roustabout for the circus during the time of the fire when he was 16 years old. He had also admitted to many other arson cases, as well as admissions of murder.
Really?
So he told officers that he had seen a vision of a Native American man on a flaming horse that had told him to set the fire at the circus.
Don't like that.
No, he claimed to then black out, and when he woke up, the circus fire had already taken place.
Sure.
Right. So he would be charged that year with an unrelated arson crime in Ohio and was sentenced to 44 years in prison. He would later recant his confession about the circus fire and denying ever having anything to do with it. So he was definitely a suspect for a while, but it seems like he was probably, just very mentally ill and confessed to crimes that he didn't commit. So a lot of people did think it was him, but in the end, most people are like, it probably wasn't. Now, as I said before, Ringling accepted full financial responsibility for the damages caused by the fire, and claims began to immediately roll in. They allowed the claimants to file until July 6th, 1945, so a full year after the accident. The claims quickly exceeded Ringling's assets of $500,000, and because they had every intention of paying all claims, they were allowed to take their circus back on the road because they had been detained where they were. They weren't allowed to leave.
Okay.
But they were allowed to take the show back on the road in order to continue making profits so they could pay all the claims. A total of 551 claims were submitted. And I've seen varying reports on the total amount, but up to $5 million were paid out to the victims and their family members, with the last of the claims being paid in full in 1954. This next chunk I'm going to read is directly from the book, The Hartford Circus Fire Tragedy Under the Big Top, and it details 3 survivors' injuries and the settlements they were awarded.
Okay.
Okay, quote. Of those who survived the fire, Mrs. Catherine Reno Martin was considered by doctors to be the most severely burned. Mrs. Martin grabbed her 5-year-old daughter and nephew and ran when she saw the Big Top on fire, but her path was blocked by an animal runway. She got the children over the obstacle and was trying to climb over it herself when the Big Top collapsed on her. Formerly a dancer, she was awarded the largest settlement, $100,000 for her injuries, which consisted of severe burns to her upper and lower extremities and her back. Catherine was virtually unable to move for nearly 5 months and continued recovering for years. But she died at the age of 95 in 2005.
Wow.
So she lived a long life.
Damn, girl.
I know. 5-year-old Patty Murphy, orphaned by the fire, was said by doctors to have been the sickest of the patients. Patty received serious burns to her upper and lower extremities and suffered infections during her painful recovery, with doctors fearing she would die on July 28th. She was the last of those who survived the fire to leave the hospital and received the second largest award of $90,000. Patricia Hortense Murphy authored Loss, a book for grieving children, in 2012. Donald Seabury Gale was 10 years old when a soldier saw the boy's hands sticking out from a pile of bodies and pulled him out.
Oh my God.
Donald's injuries led to permanent deformities in his hands, with lesser burns on his arms and head. He was awarded a $75,000 settlement, the third largest award, for what doctors considered the worst case of permanent deformation of those who survived the fire. Donald left college for a job as a medical photographer, a job he held until his retirement, and he died at the age of 74 in 2008.
Oh.
So he didn't let it get in his way, which is kind of cool. There's pictures in the book of his work, like he's a working medical photographer. So
Wow.
which is like working with your hands. So
Yeah.
crazy. As for the aftermath of the Hartford Circus fire, like many tragedies of its kind, stricter safety guidelines were put into place after the accident.
I would hope so.
Right. From the years 1945 through 1956, all outdoor performances were done with waterproofed and fireproofed canvas. Some seats were removed in order to make the exits larger, and there were no longer unsecured wooden chairs. Instead, they had steel seats bolted to steel platforms.
Okay.
The animal runways, which had proven to be such a deadly obstacle in the fire, had been replaced with portable cages, and the fire department was now required to be on site during the setup, performance, and teardown of the show. They also had to have water hoses already hooked up and ready to go in the event of a fire.
Good.
And perhaps one of the best new rules to come from the tragedy was no more fucking smoking in the Big Top.
Oh, wow.
I know. There were signs posted everywhere, and the ringmaster announced the rule at the start of the show as well.
If you can't last, like an hour or two?
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on. So the Big Top would be retired in 1956, and the circus transitioned to performing in arenas that already had seating. The circus wouldn't return to Hartford, Connecticut until 1975, when the City Civic Center had been built. Despite the previous tragedy, ticket sales were a success, and the show performed for large crowds. The Greatest Show on Earth would run its final tour in 2017, and perhaps fittingly, Hartford, Connecticut was a stop along the way. On July 6, 2005, a memorial was constructed and dedicated at the site of the fire.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, a pathway was created with bronze plaques which detail the progress of the fire. And the path leads to a large bronze medallion, which is engraved with the names of all the people who perished in the fire. The medallion is placed exactly where the center ring of the circus would have been.
Wow.
I know, it's like, gives me chills.
Yeah.
This year, 2022, just a few days ago, as of this recording, marks the 77th anniversary of the tragic event and one of the worst fire disasters in American history.
Wow.
Hopefully never, ever to be repeated.
Hopefully.
The end.
Wow. Great job. Not the episode I thought. It was a different circus fire.
Another terrible circus fire.
Yeah. Fascinating. Stuff I did not know.
Shit, right?
That's horrific and sad.
I know.
You're going out for a good time with your kids and then you die.
I know. They just wanted to have a fun time during the war.
Man, and they should... man. It's so weird how humans work or like companies work or something. Like you have to wait for something terrible to happen before you actually think of common sense like safety shit. Like,
I know, because it's like too expensive or like too, I don't know, like
lame to be safe. Like, I don't know. Yeah, but
know.
yeah, usually it's money.
Yeah.
It angers me.
Yeah. I mean, it did make outdoor, like, temporary venues like this a lot safer after the fact, but God, such a terrible way to have to prove that.
Yeah.
To make it happen. So, super fucking sad. I'm super sorry to all those people that lost their lives in, like, the worst way possible.
Yeah, that's horrific. But great storytelling.
Thank you.
I feel educated. If we're going to take anything out of these terrible things that we talk about.
It's weird that the circus stopped in 2017. I guess I remember that happening, but...
That's what I meant. I was like, I remember hearing about, like, it being, like, done.
Done.
Dead done.
I've heard also, like, things about maybe having it brought back, but instead they would have holographic animals, like...
Why even have
projected animals?
No, just have like talented people swing around in trapeze and shit.
That's
like,
enough for me.
That's enough for me.
Yeah,
Give me some popcorn and
be impressed with people risking their lives for my entertainment.
Yeah. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah. What else? What else should we talk about? Let's change the mood.
Well, we usually do City of the Week. Get that out of the way.
Okay.
And this week it goes to Surrey, Canada.
Surrey.
Our well-behaved older sibling up north.
So very polite.
Thank you for listening and supporting, and we see you.
We see you and we love you. If you want to be City of the Week, binge your little heart out.
Find us, binge us. Yeah,
that's what we got.
So, what have you been like doing besides this?
Not a lot. Michael and I started with, there's a new season of Alone, which is that, I think it's on the History Channel. It's like, where survivalists go out and they're
go out on their own.
Yeah, they're alone.
I don't like that.
It's intense, and they have to. Although there was one guy that tapped out at it's always funny when they tap out immediately.
I probably would.
And it's always the ones that talk a big game, and then it's 6 days later, and they're like, I miss my family.
Yeah, that's intense.
It's the best show to eat snacks to because everyone's really hungry. You're like, man, this food tastes great.
Yeah, you don't want to watch food shows while eating. That's sad.
That's sad. But if you watch shows about people starving, it tastes better. That's so bad.
Oh,
there's
man.
And it's always these characters. There's always some weird hippie. I think the weird hippie already tapped out, but he was saying I just know everyone's judging me at home. He kept saying everyone's judging me, and I was just stuffing my face with barbecue chips. Yeah, I am. I'm judging you so hard.
Well, you're on TV, so yeah.
I know. What did you expect?
That's funny.
Yeah. What about you?
So we decided to get HBO back because we keep flip-flopping on HBO. We cannot decide if we want it or to get rid of it.
Hey, you just go long enough and then you binge it and then you cancel it again.
That's literally what we do. It's every 6 months we binge and then we're like, okay, this is boring now, let's get rid of it. And then 6 months later we're like, we need HBO.
Gotta get it back.
So now we're on that train, and I knew I wanted to watch the show. I think I posted it in our group once when I found out about it. But Colin Firth playing in the show The Staircase.
I saw ads for that. I have not seen it.
That very infamous case that pretty much got me into, I was watching that documentary and you're like, are you into true crime yet, Shauna? Because you need to be. And I'm like, I am.
Right. That was the birth of our true crime obsession together.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching some true crime before that, like Making a Murderer got me really angry. But then I was watching The Staircase and you're like, but do you think he did it? And I'm like, I don't think he did it. And you're like, you're crazy.
I'm like, he totally did it.
and then I was like, okay, well, let me listen to true crime now. And then I've totally flipped. And I'm like, oh, what was I even hoping for? Like,
you poor naive girl.
He fucking did it.
Once you like watch enough true crime, you get real jaded.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
I mean,
husband did it for sure.
Too many things. But it's been a while since I watched the OG doc, and so far this show is getting it pretty accurate. It's very HBO. It's very like graphic, a little sexual.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that in this case, so it's just like it's really well done.
Okay. I love Colin Firth.
Oh, he's so beautiful. Chef's kiss, Colin Firth. I love him.
Yes.
He does great. He's very creepy.
Oh yeah, he used to play the creepy husband.
He plays the creepy husband, so you don't know if he did or did it the whole time. But yeah, I'm on like episode 4. Super good right now. Yeah,
okay,
I recommend.
I have to check that out. There's also there's a show on Netflix I was watching. I can't remember what it's called now. It's like about lies and conspiracies on the internet. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Oh, it's not the Swindler one.
No,
it's a different one.
I think each episode is different, but the first episode is on swatting, which I've always wanted to do an episode on. It's like, it started as, like little mouth breathing boys on like Call of Duty Xbox games would get mad at each other and they would call in to like the police, like fake calls and get the SWAT team called on them.
What?
Yeah. So like,
and you call that swatting? You just casual call the SWAT team? No.
Yeah. There's been Oregon cases like
shut your mouth.
On Small Town Dicks, they cover a case where that happened.
Did I listen to it?
Oh, you
that
should.
Seems weird. That seems wrong. That's not okay.
Yeah, because it can lead to people getting murdered.
No knock raids, so they'll just burst in because they think
and they can
someone's
get trigger happy and just shoot you.
Yeah. Because they'll like these boys will call and pretend to have like killed their families or something, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I have a gun."
That's not a joke.
So bad.
That's so fucked up.
Over a video game. Like,
oh my god, I'm so shook over this. What are you even thinking?
I know. So I've always kind of wanted to do an episode on that, but that was like the very first episode of that show. I was like, shit.
Damn.
Shit, man. People are crazy.
Yeah, it's like they don't even think about like how intense that is.
Or the repercussions of like what could happen.
Yeah. And
a lot of times there's no like they don't get caught. So
they don't get caught?
I mean, there's one guy that would do it. He would be hired to do it from other people. So he would be anonymous.
Shut up. People are stupid and insane and selfish and violent and stupid. I don't understand why that's just a free time.
Not to mention the resources they're wasting. Like that, like what if some emergency was happening somewhere else?
Sick.
Oh, makes me heated.
Oh, you just got me so fired up.
I'm so fired up.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, if you want to be mad, watch that.
This is what we recommend. You don't relax ever in your life. You watch these things.
Or watch alone and eat some snacks. We do have a review. I'll just pull this up really quick.
Review time.
From Kelly Z. Wallace. 5 stars.
Oh, thank you. My God.
Thank you, girl. So she's a local bee.
Oh.
Shout out from Pleasant Hill.
Yay.
Down the road from you two. Yes, you are. It's great hearing the local flavor, Springfield, LOL. And my son and I loved the Mount St. Helens app. See?
Ooh,
Disaster.
I
love those disaster apps. She was driving to the coast.
Nice.
If it would stop raining, I might not be able to binge disaster pods, but here we are. So sorry about the rain. I think it stopped by now, but it's Oregon. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So thank you for the review. We love it.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Send us more reviews. We'll read them. I can't tell what the title is. I think it was Hometown Girls Equals Podcast Stars.
What? Get out of here. Shut it.
We're not. We're just we're lame and stupid.
It's true, though. I agree with you.
Okay, do we have anything else? I think we got it all.
No, I gotta go to the bathroom. So
I gotta pee so bad.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Like a racehorse.
We gotta use our own toilets.
All right, so I'm just gonna say good sewed. Good night. Okay, for my sources, I read the book The Hartford Circus Fire, Tragedy Under the Big Top by Michael Skidgell, went to wikipedia.com, qrfs.com, The Hartford Courant, circusfire1944.com, and historyofcircus.com. Our music is by Broke for Free and Matt Edwards, and we are edited by Michael.
All right. Should I list our social needs?
Please do.
We have a lot of our things at Anxious and Afraid the Pod. So that's our handle for both of our Facebook page and group, along with our Instagram and Gmail.
We have a Twitter at AA the Pod.
You can support us on patreon.com/anxious and afraid.
If you do that, you get some pretty nice perks. You get ad-free episodes that are released a whole day early, and you get a free sticker.
You can also support us for free if you can't do any of that by leaving a rate review. You subscribe to the show, tell your friends.
Yeah, we would appreciate all of it too.